There's something no one ever tells you about getting older, the quiet fears that settle in during the quietest moments. You may not say it out loud, but it lingers in the back of your mind. What if it happens when no one is around? What if your heart betrays you, not at the hospital, not at the doctor's office, but in the kitchen while you're making your tea, or in the bedroom while reaching for your slippers? Richard, 68, never thought twice about chest pressure. Probably indigestion, he told himself, brushing it off with a chuckle and another sip of water. But when he collapsed in his hallway just steps from his phone, there was no one to call out to. No one to run in and help. Just him. And a few precious seconds. Luckily, Richard had watched a program about recognizing early signs of heart attacks and had practiced a simple routine. That night, it saved his life. You see, a heart attack doesn't always come crashing in like a thunderstorm. Sometimes it arrives like a whisper. For seniors over 60, especially those living alone, this isn't just a medical possibility. It's a lived reality for millions. But here's the good news. Knowledge is power and preparation is survival. This guide isn't just another list of medical facts. It's a lifeline. It's written for you, not as a patient, but as a person, a beloved parent, a grandparent, a neighbor, a friend, someone whose life still matters deeply. We will walk through 7 vital, practical, and potentially life-saving tips that could help you survive a heart attack if it ever happens when you're alone. Not just survive, but stay calm, stay smart, and stay alive until help arrives. You don't need to be a medical expert. You just need to read, reflect, and prepare. Because the truth is, when every second counts, the actions you take, or don't take, can make the difference between a tragic ending and a miraculous new beginning. So, take a deep breath. Set aside a few minutes. This may be the most important thing you read today, not just for yourself, but for someone you love. Because once you know what to do, you can help others prepare too. Ready? Let's begin with the first and most crucial tip. Recognizing the earliest signs before they strike with heart attacks don't always arrive with drama. In fact, they rarely do, especially for older adults. The truth is, many heart attacks begin quietly, with symptoms so subtle they're often mistaken for indigestion, fatigue, or even anxiety. But these early signals are crucial. They're your body's gentle whispers before the storm, warning you that something serious may be happening. Knowing how to hear them could save your life. Take Linda, for example. She's 72, lives alone, and walks every morning around her block. One afternoon, she noticed a strange pressure in her chest. Not pain, just a tight, squeezing sensation. She felt slightly dizzy, and her skin broke out in a cold sweat. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't even painful, but it wasn't normal. At first, she thought maybe she was just tired or had eaten something too heavy. But something about that moment felt different. She trusted her instinct and called her daughter, who immediately called for help. Linda was having a heart attack. Many people expect heart attacks to feel like someone is sitting on your chest or stabbing pain shoots down your arm. While that can happen, especially in younger men, older adults, especially women, often experience very different symptoms. You might feel a dull pressure in your chest or discomfort in your neck, jaw, or even your upper back. Some feel lightheaded or unusually tired. Others may feel nauseous or start sweating heavily for no clear reason. What's most dangerous is that these symptoms don't always come all at once, and they don't always feel severe. That's why they're easy to ignore, and that's why so many lives are lost when they don't have to be. As we age, our nerve endings become less sensitive, and many older adults take medications that can dull sensations or mask pain. Conditions like diabetes or arthritis can also confuse the body's signals. That's why it's so important not to rely on dramatic signs alone. Small, strange feelings matter, especially if they feel new or different from what you've experienced before. So, what can you do? First, learn to listen to your body. You've lived in it for 6 or 7 decades. It knows how to speak to you. Pay attention to unusual changes, no matter how small they seem. A sudden wave of exhaustion, a tightness in your chest that you've never felt, or a strange feeling in your arms or neck. These are not things to brush off. Second, keep a simple symptom diary. If you experience anything strange or unusual, write it down. Note the time, what you were doing, and how it felt. This record could help your doctor detect a pattern that might otherwise go unnoticed. Finally, make sure people close to you are informed. Even if you live alone, let a trusted neighbor, friend, or family member know what symptoms to look out for if you ever call and say, "I don't feel right." The more people who know what a heart attack can look like in older adults, the better chance you have at getting help in time. Linda survived because she paid attention. She didn't panic, but she didn't ignore her instincts either. That simple decision, to take her body seriously, changed the outcome of her story, and it could change yours too. If there's one message to remember from this part, let it be this: your body is speaking. Even if it's whispering, don't ignore it. In the next section, we'll learn how to stay calm when those whispers turn into warnings, because panic can steal the precious minutes you need to survive. When you're alone and start to feel something is wrong with your heart, fear is usually the first thing to arrive. It sneaks in even before the real pain or clear symptoms, often showing up as a wave of anxiety or panic that clouds your ability to think. In those first moments, panic can be more dangerous than the heart attack itself. It makes your breathing faster, your heart race harder, and your thinking more confused. That's why staying calm isn't just helpful. It's one of the most important things you can do to survive. Let's go back to Richard, now 68, who once shared what happened when he felt that familiar pressure in his chest while sitting alone at home. His instinct was to jump up and get to the phone quickly, but when he stood, a wave of dizziness made him nearly fall. Then he remembered something he once heard: "Don't panic, just breathe." So he sat back down, leaned against the couch, and focused only on his breathing. Slow, steady, controlled. That one choice, staying still and staying calm, gave him the time he needed. He was able to carefully reach for his phone, call for help, and remain awake until emergency services arrived. If he had panicked and forced himself to move or run, the outcome might have been very different. So, how can someone stay calm in a moment that feels terrifying? First, breathe slowly. Inhale gently through your nose for about 4 seconds. Hold it for 2 seconds, and then exhale through your mouth for 6. Repeat that rhythm several times. This kind of breathing sends a message to your body that says, "I'm okay, I'm safe." It helps lower your heart rate, clears your thoughts, and gives your body a better chance to handle the stress. Second, don't move more than you have to. The heart, when under stress, doesn't need you walking across the house or standing too fast. If you feel chest discomfort or dizziness, gently sit or lie down somewhere close. Try to stay near a phone or emergency device, but don't push yourself too far to reach it. If it's out of reach, focus first on calming your breath and letting your body settle before trying again. Third, speak to yourself out loud if you can. Saying things like, "I am calm, help is coming, I know what to do," may seem strange, but hearing your own voice has a calming effect. It grounds you and keeps your thoughts from spiraling into fear. These may sound like small actions, but in a crisis, small things can make the biggest difference. Panic leads to confusion. Calm leads to survival. And calm isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about facing what's happening with strength and control. At your age, you've been through so much. You've weathered grief, challenges, even moments when you weren't sure how you would go on. This is another test, not of your body, but of your courage and presence of mind. Staying calm is something you can practice, even when you're not in crisis. Doing breathing exercises, learning to ground yourself in moments of stress, and mentally walking through what you would do in an emergency are all ways to prepare. In the next part, we'll talk about what happens after you've calmed yourself, how to get help, even if you're alone, and how to make it easier to reach out without delay. Because in a moment like this, calm buys you time. When you're experiencing signs of a heart attack and you're alone, the most important action you can take after calming yourself is to call for help. It may sound simple, but in that moment, when your chest feels tight, your breath is shallow, and your hands are trembling, reaching out can feel overwhelming. For many older adults, there's also an emotional barrier. The fear of being a bother, of troubling someone, of overreacting. But hear this clearly. Asking for help is not a weakness. It is not a disruption. It is not an inconvenience. It is an act of strength, of wisdom, and of survival. Let's remember Linda again. At 72, she was sitting alone in her living room when she began feeling short of breath and nauseated. Her instinct was to wait it out, to see if it would pass. She didn't want to call her daughter because it was late. She didn't want to dial emergency services because, in her words, "What if I'm wrong and it's just indigestion?" But something inside told her this was different. She had heard that many women don't get the typical heart attack pain, and she was right. She decided to act. With a calm hand, she picked up the phone, called her daughter, and said softly, "I don't feel right." That call may have saved her life. One of the most important things you can do before anything ever happens is to make calling for help easier. That means planning ahead. Keep your phone in places where it's easy to reach, on a lanyard around your neck, clipped to your pants, or beside your chair or bed. Program your phone so that the emergency number is one touch away. If you have a smartphone, enable voice commands like, "Hey Siri," or "Okay Google," call 911 in case you can't tap the screen. Keep a list of emergency contacts printed in large font and posted where you can see it, on the fridge, near the phone, or beside your bed. If you live alone, consider investing in a medical alert system. These wearable devices can call for help at the press of a button, even if you fall and can't reach your phone. Some systems even detect a fall and alert emergency services automatically. You don't have to wait until something happens to prepare. Preparation is an act of self-respect. It's also important to talk with your family or close friends ahead of time. Let them know that if you ever call and say, "I'm not feeling right," it means something serious. Let them know they have your permission to act fast, without hesitation. Sometimes people wait because they don't want to cause a scene or call 911 unless it's an absolute emergency. But heart attacks don't give you a second chance. Minutes matter. And please, release yourself from the guilt of bothering someone. Imagine your roles were reversed. If your child or friend were in trouble, would you want them to hesitate to call you? Of course not. You'd want them to call immediately, without shame or fear. That's how the people who love you feel about you too. Remember, calling for help isn't about drama. It's about giving yourself a fighting chance. The sooner someone gets to you, the sooner treatment begins, and the more likely you are to recover. Emergency responders are trained to handle these situations with care and speed. They want to help. That's their purpose. And your purpose is to stay alive and well. So, don't wait until you're too weak to speak or move. Don't gamble with your breath or your heartbeat. When in doubt, call. When afraid, call. When you're unsure but something feels wrong, call. Because that one moment of courage may open the door to many more years of life, laughter, and love. In the next part, we'll talk about what you should do with your body in those moments while you're waiting, because where and how you position yourself could make a critical difference. Once you've recognized the signs and called for help, the next few minutes are some of the most important of your life. This is the time between asking for help and help arriving. It may feel like forever. Every second may seem heavier than the last. But what you do with your body during this waiting time can make a critical difference in whether you remain conscious, whether your heart is protected, and whether you're found quickly and safely by emergency responders. Let's begin with one key fact. Staying still is better than moving. When your heart is in distress, every movement demands more oxygen, more blood, more effort. That effort can push your heart too hard. It's common for people to feel the urge to pace, to walk it off, or to try to get to another room. But unless you're reaching for a phone or calling out for help, your safest option is to sit or lie down as close to where you are as possible. The ideal position depends on how you're feeling. If you're lightheaded or dizzy, sit down and lean slightly forward while supporting your arms on a table or your knees. This position can help reduce strain on your heart and lungs while keeping your airways open. If you're already on the floor or feel like you're about to faint, lying on your back with your knees slightly elevated can help improve blood flow to vital organs. If you feel short of breath, try propping yourself up with pillows or sitting in a reclined position with your head elevated. The goal is always the same. Reduce pressure on your heart and lungs, stay conscious, and stay as comfortable as possible. Now, let's talk about location. If you live alone, it's wise to position yourself where responders can find you easily. Ideally, try to get near the front door or a location with clear visibility. This isn't always possible in the moment, but it's something you can prepare for ahead of time. One simple strategy is to keep your doors unlocked if you feel something wrong and you've called for help. Many people have died because help arrived, but couldn't get through a locked door. Another option is to give a trusted neighbor or family member a spare key, or install a lockbox with the code shared with emergency contacts. Remember Mr. Franklin, an 81-year-old retired teacher who once shared his story. He felt strange one evening while reading. His chest began to tighten and his arms felt heavy. He didn't panic. He picked up his phone, called 911, and then slowly slid to the floor, resting his back against the wall just beside his front door. He left the door unlocked. When the paramedics arrived 8 minutes later, they walked in and found him still breathing, still conscious. He later told his daughter, "I couldn't run, so I made it easy for them to run to me." That wisdom saved his life. It's also important to stay warm. Heart attack symptoms can cause sweating and chills, and sudden drops in body temperature can increase strain on your heart. If a blanket or jacket is nearby, gently cover yourself while staying in the safest position. What matters most during these minutes is doing less, not more. Less panic, less movement, less effort, more awareness, more stillness, more readiness. Breathe, stay grounded, and know that help is on the way. You may feel helpless in those minutes, but you're not. You're buying time. You're protecting your heart. You're giving yourself a real chance at recovery. In the next part, we'll talk about a surprising but powerful tool that many people overlook. One small item in your cabinet that, if used correctly, can make a life-saving difference during a heart attack. Aspirin. In the middle of a heart attack, every second is precious. While you wait for help to arrive, there's something small, so small it might be sitting unnoticed in your bathroom cabinet or kitchen drawer, that could play a powerful role in keeping you alive. That item is aspirin. Just one chewable pill taken at the right moment can help slow the damage a heart attack is causing, giving your heart more time and giving emergency responders a better chance of saving your life. Let's understand why. When a heart attack happens, it's usually because a blood clot has formed and is blocking blood flow to part of your heart muscle. The longer that muscle goes without oxygen-rich blood, the more damage it takes. Aspirin works as a blood thinner. It doesn't dissolve the clot completely, but it helps keep it from growing and helps your blood flow a little more freely. This means more oxygen gets where it's needed, and the damage to your heart can be reduced. But here's something important. Aspirin only helps if taken the right way, at the right time. First, it must be a plain aspirin, not coated, not extended release, not mixed with other medications. Second, you must chew it, not swallow it whole. Chewing allows the medicine to enter your bloodstream faster, which matters a great deal in those early minutes. A single adult aspirin, usually 325 milligrams, or 2 to 4 baby aspirins, 81 milligrams each, is the standard emergency dose. But again, you should only take aspirin if you're not allergic, and only if you believe you may be having a heart attack, not for something mild or uncertain. If you're unsure, call 911 first and ask the operator whether to take aspirin while you wait. Let me share the story of Teresa, age 75. She was watching TV one evening when she felt tightness in her jaw and a strange aching sensation in her left shoulder. She'd read an article in a health magazine that said women often experience different heart attack symptoms than men. Instead of chest pain, they might feel neck tension, fatigue, or indigestion. Teresa remembered that article and decided not to wait. She chewed a baby aspirin she kept in her nightstand and called 911. By the time paramedics arrived, she was calm and breathing steadily. The doctors later told her the aspirin might have reduced the severity of her heart damage. It didn't cure her, it wasn't meant to, but it gave her a better chance. And it worked. Because of stories like Teresa's, many doctors now recommend that older adults keep a small bottle of aspirin somewhere easily accessible. Some keep it in a pill organizer beside their bed. Others tape a packet of baby aspirin to the back of their phone case or carry it in their purse or wallet. Just make sure the expiration date is still good and that you don't have any health conditions or medications that make aspirin unsafe for you. Ask your doctor the next time you visit, "If I ever feel like I'm having a heart attack, is it safe for me to take an aspirin?" It's a simple question, but it could one day save your life. And remember, aspirin is not a substitute for calling 911. It's a helper, not a healer. It doesn't take away the need for emergency care, but it can slow the damage while you wait. And sometimes, that extra minute, that slightly better blood flow, can be the difference between full recovery and long-term heart injury. In your home, make it a habit to know exactly where your aspirin is. Show a family member or trusted neighbor too. Keep it labeled, visible, and ready, just like a fire extinguisher. It's something you hope you never need, but you'll be deeply thankful you had when the time comes. In the next section, we'll talk about how to make the most of the waiting time after you've taken aspirin and called for help. You'll learn what to focus on mentally and physically while you wait for responders, because survival isn't just about what you do, it's about how you stay grounded while doing it. After you've called for help, positioned yourself safely, and taken aspirin if appropriate, there comes a moment that many people don't talk about: the waiting. This is the quiet in between. The minutes feel long. The house feels too silent. Your thoughts begin to race. Your body feels foreign, and even though you've done everything right so far, fear may try to creep back in. But this moment, this waiting, is not just about holding on. It's about helping your body survive. What you do during these minutes matters more than you think. First, keep breathing slowly and steadily. You've already learned the rhythm. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 2, and exhale gently through your mouth for 6. This breathing pattern does more than just calm your nerves. It sends oxygen to your organs and helps regulate your heart rate. Each breath is like a quiet message to your body saying, "We're still here, we're holding on." Focus on each breath, one at a time. Don't think 10 minutes ahead. Think about the breath you're in right now. Second, remain as still as possible. Movement increases the heart's demand for oxygen, and during a heart attack, that's something you don't want to do. Find a position where you feel supported. Some people feel best lying on their back with their knees slightly bent. Others prefer sitting upright with pillows behind them. Either way, avoid standing, walking, or trying to move around unless absolutely necessary. Third, speak out loud even if no one is in the room. Saying simple sentences like, "Help is coming," "I know what to do," "I am calm," "I am strong," can interrupt spiraling fear. It grounds your mind and gives you back some sense of control. If it feels strange, that's okay. Say it anyway. There's power in your voice, especially when it comforts you. Fourth, look around. Pick a few familiar things in the room: a photo, a book, a plant, a piece of furniture. Describe them to yourself in your mind. This may seem like a small act, but it helps focus your attention outward instead of inward. It helps slow racing thoughts and creates a moment of clarity. Sometimes it's the smallest distractions that give your heart the space it needs to keep going. Fifth, prepare mentally for the arrival of help. Visualize the door opening. Picture the faces of the paramedics. Imagine yourself being taken care of, gently and quickly. Let that image bring you peace. You are not alone in this. You've already set help in motion. Now you are simply holding the space until they get to you. Every heartbeat is a step closer to healing. Let me tell you about George, 76, who had a heart episode while working in his garage. He called 911, unlocked his side door, and sat down with his back against the wall, holding his dog's leash. He focused on petting his dog's head slowly, using the rhythm of his strokes to match his breathing. He whispered to himself, "Help is coming. Stay with me." And it did. When the paramedics arrived, he was alert and conscious. His calm had carried him through. Waiting isn't just doing nothing. It's doing something important in a quiet way. It's choosing to stay centered in the storm, to give your heart a better chance, and to give yourself the dignity of peace during crisis. You may not have control over the pain or the timing, but you do have control over your presence, and that matters deeply. In the next part, we'll talk about something many people overlook: how to prepare before any emergency ever happens. Because once this moment is past, whether you've been through it or are simply planning ahead, having a clear, simple, personal plan could make all the difference for you and the people who care for you. The best time to prepare for an emergency is before it happens. It may not feel urgent right now, especially if you're feeling healthy, independent, and strong. But just as we plan for fires, for bad weather, or for retirement, we must also plan for health events, especially something as serious and time-sensitive as a heart attack. Having a personal heart emergency action plan doesn't just protect your body, it protects your peace of mind. It helps you feel ready rather than afraid. It gives your family clarity instead of panic. And most importantly, it can buy you time when seconds matter most. Creating your plan doesn't have to be complicated. It starts with awareness, knowing your risk. If you've had high blood pressure, diabetes, or any past heart issues, you're at higher risk. If heart disease runs in your family, or if you live alone, preparation is not just a good idea, it's essential. But even if you've never had a health scare, planning ahead is an act of self-care and love. Start by putting together a Go folder. This is a simple envelope or small binder that contains your most critical health information. Inside, place a list of your current medications, including dosages, any allergies, medical conditions, and the names and numbers of your doctors. Add a copy of your ID, insurance card, and a short medical history if possible. Also include the contact information of at least 2 family members or close friends who can be reached in an emergency. Keep this folder in a visible, easy-to-reach place, by your front door, on your refrigerator, or near your nightstand. Let your family or neighbors know where it is, so if something happens, no one has to waste time searching. Next, create a call plan. On a small card, list the steps you want followed if you ever feel unwell. For example, Step 1, call 911. Step 2, take aspirin if advised. Step 3, unlock the front door. Step 4, sit near the door with phone in hand. This helps keep your mind focused during a crisis and gives others instructions if they find you in distress. Technology can also help. If you have a smartphone, set up emergency contacts that can be reached from your lock screen. Enable voice activation like, "Hey Siri" or "Okay Google, call 911." Some phones also allow you to display medical info on the screen without needing a password. Ask someone to help you set it up, or visit your local pharmacy or community center. Many offer free tech assistance for seniors. If you live alone, consider a medical alert device. These come as necklaces or wristbands and can summon help at the press of a button. Some are even equipped with automatic fall detection. They may seem unnecessary until the moment you truly need one. Think of it not as a sign of weakness, but as a smart, quiet form of protection that gives you more freedom, not less. Lastly, talk to your loved ones. Tell them what you'd want in an emergency. Let them know where your documents are, who they should call, and how they can help. These conversations can feel uncomfortable at first, but they bring clarity and connection. They allow your care to become a shared responsibility, not a private burden. You're not just protecting yourself, you're also making it easier for others to care for you when the time comes. Let me share a final story. Edith, 79, lived alone for years and was fiercely independent. After her sister passed suddenly from a heart attack, Edith decided to prepare. She filled out a medical info card, bought a medical alert necklace, and gave a copy of her emergency plan to her neighbor. 1 year later, she felt chest pain while watering her plants. She pressed her alert button, took an aspirin, and unlocked her door. When the paramedics arrived, they were impressed by how prepared she was. She survived and recovered well. "I wasn't scared," she told her niece later. "I was ready." That's the power of planning. It doesn't remove the danger, but it transforms fear into readiness. It turns helplessness into control, and it gives you the strength to face the unknown with calm and confidence. In our final section, we'll bring all of these steps together and share one last message to remind you why your life, your preparation, and your courage still matter deeply today. As we come to the end of this guide, perhaps you're sitting quietly, thinking not just about what to do in an emergency, but about everything life has taught you so far. Maybe this stirred something in your heart, maybe a memory, a bit of fear, or even a sense of peace. Whatever you're feeling, let it settle gently, because what you've just done isn't about learning to be afraid. It's about learning to be ready. Aging doesn't make you invisible. It doesn't make your life smaller or your worth less. If anything, growing older gives you something few others have: perspective, depth, and the quiet strength of someone who's weathered storms and still stands. That strength is exactly why your life still matters. Every step you take to protect yourself, to plan ahead, and to stay informed is not just practical, it's powerful. It says, I am still here. I still choose life. You've now learned how to recognize the early signs of a heart attack. You've practiced calm breathing and intentional stillness. You've seen how the smallest things, a pill, a plan, a position on the floor, can shift the outcome. You've been reminded that asking for help is not weakness, it's wisdom, and you've taken the first steps in creating a personal emergency plan, one that could make all the difference one day. More importantly, you've remembered that your time still has meaning. You still have something to give, something to say, someone to love. And perhaps most powerful of all, someone out there still needs you. That's why we created this space. Life Wants You to Hear is more than just a channel. It's a quiet corner of the world where your life, your dignity, your voice, and your story are honored. It's a place where you are never too old to be seen, too late to grow, or too far gone to matter. If today's message helped you in any way, if it brought clarity, courage, or comfort, then we invite you to subscribe to this channel. When you do, you're not just clicking a button. You're saying yes to wisdom, to awareness, and to a community that values the lives of those in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. You're joining others who, like you, believe that preparation is a form of love, and that growing older is not about fading away, but about rising in grace. So take a deep breath, place your emergency card somewhere visible, check your aspirin bottle, and when you're ready, hit that subscribe button, not just to stay informed, but to stay connected, because life still wants you to hear beautiful things. Life still wants you to live, and we want to walk with you, one breath, one heartbeat, one wise step at a time.